What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Good Old Hockey Podcast. This is episode number 46, Alan. 46.
I've been a part of two of them.
Yeah. That
Gosh.
intro music is the Nashville Predators goal horn, you can tell. And I think after this episode, we're going to have to change it to the Sharks. Mainly because when me and Gally were doing it, I didn't want to be homer to one side, and we've both been to a Predators game, so I picked that one. But after this episode, we're probably gonna have to change it to the Sharks goal horn. For those of you that missed last week's episode, Gally is working in Bloomington, Illinois for the Bloomington Bison. So Alan right here, my gracious co-host, is filling in for him. But Alan, we've got some catching up to do with the people listening. Me and Alan play on the same beer league team, so we're gonna have some talks during the season about our game last week. So last week, how was that? I mean, that was a much needed win for us. We won, what was it? 8-2? 8-4?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't really remember. I don't pay attention too much to the score, but
Right.
I pay attention to my own stats. And no, I'm kidding. Well, I'm not kind of joking.
Yeah. Hey, I had an assist. I had an assist too.
You had a nice assist too.
Yeah.
Straight up the middle.
Stretch
It was
pass.
gross.
Yep.
Yeah, good win, much needed win. Need to get the feet moving this season. We're 2-2-1 to start the year. I want to say 2-2-1, so a little slow start. But I think we're back on track here now, which is that's good to see.
Yeah. I'm excited. We've got you guys are listening to this on Wednesday. We had a game last night, so we'll see how that went. But we'll tell you guys next week. But yeah, so far it's been fun. I got my stick broken last week, which I wanted to literally rip the guy's head off because we went into the corner. I went to lift his stick, and I did hit his stick pretty hard. He turns around and hacks me, and I was like, what the fuck? I look at the refs. They didn't see it. And then I'm still on the ice. I go to make a pass to Tim, and my stick just folds. And Cody in the stands thought that he thought that I just had too much muscle on it. I was like, that's far from the truth, but I'll let you believe that. Yeah, broke my stick.
That one.
Yeah, no, I still haven't told him. Luckily though, the weekend before I got my backup stick from my dad's house. So I had a backup stick there. Usually I don't have my backup stick, so I have it now.
Always must when the old guys get angry. You got to keep an extra stick around.
I know. They were losing pretty bad at that point too, so
yeah.
I understand it, but still dick move. But regardless, moving on to coast, we got some headlines from this week. Alex Ovechkin is our first topic here. This man's on fire still. We talked about it last week. Just maybe thought it was a hot start, but it's still a hot start. And what is he at right now? 10 goals?
He's at 10 goals. If he keeps this pace up, I'm saying he breaks the record before February. No, that's unrealistic,
February.
But I'd love to see it.
He's on pace for
34.
What's he on pace for?
He's on pace. Last time I checked for like 53 goals.
He needs 34.
39. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get there sooner rather than later.
Yeah. No, I think so too. I think it'll be I don't know. I really hope it's not just a hot start and he like goes I think we said this off air, but if he goes like another 10 game stretch where he just doesn't have a goal, might have to pump the brakes on him. But as of right now, our OV watch looking fantastic.
Great. The boys are buzzing. Dylan Strome still going off.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later, but
unearthly. Yeah, Dylan Strome, it's kind of like his career, he hasn't really broken out as a player. He's what? You said third overall. He was third overall?
Drafted third overall in 2015 behind Jack Eichel.
Yeah. So you got Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel, and then Dylan Strome. Those are big names right there. But he hasn't really had, I can look it up, but like he hasn't really had a breakout season by far at all.
Looked it up. We touched on it last week. His highest point scoring season to date was 67 points, which I believe came last season. So like he's coming around, and he's a great player. He's a great like second line center, but this year he's really broken out into a premier center in the NHL, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. No, I think it's good for him. I think we've seen even last year with Sam Reinhart. You could even say the year before that, but Sam Reinhart really broke out last year and is continuing to do so. Sam Reinhart was only drafted a year before Dylan Strome, though. So he's on the same path as Sam Reinhart. Will he turn out the same? Time will only tell. But I think it's interesting just, some of these players that you just can't really give up on. Because, I mean, he's how old is Dylan Strome? 26?
Something like that.
I think he's so young.
I think he's 26, yeah.
That's still really young.
A lot of time to play hockey. I mean, you think about it, a lot of guys retire 35, 36, 37.
Yep.
Got a good 10 years in your prime left to go.
Yeah. So if he can keep it up, the only struggling the thing I see for him is that he's on the Capitals. And I don't know how much time the Capitals have left in their prime, if they're even in their prime, you could say. But there's always other teams you can go to. I don't know what his contract's like, but
he's making, I actually looked at it earlier before we were live, he's making like $6 million a year, $5 or $6 million. It's not much.
Not bad. Good deal for whoever has him, but we'll see. I don't know how many years he has left, but if he can keep it up, that's assuming that he can. But moving on, number 2 on our list is Nathan McKinnon. This guy last week, he's my favorite for Hart and Art Ross. Favorite for Art Ross, I think I said.
Yeah.
He wasn't really in the lead for most points in the league last week, but the night we recorded, he recorded 5 assists in one game, and then the second game he had 0, and then the third game he played on the 9th, he had 1 goal and 3 assists. So went off. I think Colorado. I mean, I think part of it, his struggle in the beginning was also Colorado's struggles in the beginning. But clearly, he's turned it around, and Nathan McKinnon's Nathan McKinnon. I don't think you can ever really count him out. But now he's in the lead in the league with 29 points.
Yep. He been watching them play too a good bit. Obviously, I have the Avs jerseys just because I like Nathan McKinnon, but they're looking better as a roster. They lost to the Jets the other night, but they won both their other games this week.
The Jets are on fire.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like they're gonna put it together. They're a good enough team where they're not gonna keep. I think they're in like 21st in the league right now as far as overall standings. They're not gonna consistently be there.
No.
They're going to dig themselves out of that once they're getting Valerie Nichushkin back. He got cleared from league's whatever cocaine protocol. I don't really know.
Yeah.
He's allowed to come back. His suspension got lifted. So he'll be coming back pretty soon. Gabe Landeskog has been skating. I saw that. That's only going to help them get better. And Nathan McKinnon is also taken over pretty quickly as far as the points leaderboard, and I don't think that's going to stop. Cale Makar is in third, I want to say, with 24 points as a defenseman. Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Did you see his slap shot? His off the rush slap shot goal.
Yeah,
gross.
Vintage.
Yeah,
vintage.
That was like Bobby Orr level. That was like Wayne Gretzky level.
Looked like Wayne Gretzky off the rush.
Yeah, he did.
So sick.
Yeah,
but yeah, they'll get back to it, and Nathan McKinnon's going to keep taking over games and putting up 4 or 5 points, and probably will them to a playoff spot. So,
no, he will. I mean, it's Nathan McKinnon at the end of the day. Great player, but I just thought it was crazy. Of course, the one night we talked about it, he then goes off with 5 points, and he's playing tonight too. I haven't checked if he scored or not, but.
I did not see if they scored. They're beating the Nashville Predators again.
Oh, that leads right in.
Well, they lost last game, but Real quick, before we get off Nathan McKinnon, I think that there is a legitimate argument that he is the best player in the NHL. Connor McDavid is Connor McDavid, and he's going to do Connor McDavid things. He's gross, but Nathan McKinnon often gets overlooked for that, which I find ridiculous. I think he can take over a game probably better than McDavid can from watching. I mean, we see both these teams play a lot, watching the Sharks. That guy takes over games, and it's like when he's on the ice, every second that he's on the ice, you're like, oh, crap, this guy's about to get a breakaway or, 2-on-1 rush and score a game winner. It's kind of ridiculous.
It is, and I don't think
have an assist
tonight. Okay, so now he's up one more point with 30 points now. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point about McKinnon. I think overlooked is a better way to look at it because all the things you just said is exactly what you could say about McDavid. So I think McDavid's just a little bit scarier just because he's McDavid. But Nathan McKinnon, I think, is easily number 2. Well, yeah, I'll give him number 2. I think it's pretty close. Like, I feel like we've always had this conversation of like, McDavid always being like just way different, like just built different on the levels. But Nathan McKinnon these last couple seasons have really proven that that's not really the case anymore.
I think it's also a factor. McDavid hasn't been quite as like statistically dominant the last couple years. Well, last year and this year so far, even though he's injured right now or was injured.
Yeah.
He's still not. It's not like he's shining like
like after last season. Yeah, no, that's fair. Because what did McKinnon? He won the Hart last year.
Won the Hart. Kucherov won the Art Ross, and McDavid was in third in the scoring. I want to say it was like 5 points back. Yeah. If that.
Yeah, I think McKinnon stays healthy and McDavid and the Oilers still struggle. I think that there's definitely a conversation to be had. I personally find it hard to put McKinnon at 1 over McDavid just because it's McDavid.
Yeah.
But, maybe that's just a homer, not even a homer take, but just I don't know.
I think it's a homer take that I have McKinnon over because I don't have a deep-seated hatred for the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah.
Like I have a.
You also have his jersey on.
Yeah, whatever. Overlook that. I have a deep-seated hatred for the Oilers. From I believe they bounced the Sharks in that would have been 2018. So the 2015 or 2018 in Martin Jones. So
2015 we didn't make the playoffs.
Oh yeah, huh?
So so
it would have been 2018.
Yeah.
Either way, so I hate the Oilers. I hate their goal horn. Connor McDavid's gross. Leon Draisaitl sucks. That's a point I'll stand on. That guy has no talent. He looks like Mark Stone out there. He's awful, but somehow he racks up points because he gets to play with McDavid all the time. Anyways,
people call him second. Wait. I want to hear you talk about that because people call him second best in the league. Leon Draisaitl. That Oilers have the first and second best player in the league.
So, listen, Leon Draisaitl. Obviously, he's a great hockey player. He's in the National Hockey League. He's getting paid $13 million a season, whatever it is, to play a game. That's awesome. I'm extremely jealous of him. But at the same time, you watch him play, he doesn't do anything that fantastically besides shoot the puck from the corner. And it really pisses me off because you watch him skate with the puck. He's big and he's good at protecting the puck. He's kind of like Mikko Rantanen with less skill. He just gets power play points from playing with McDavid. That is my honest opinion on Leon Draisaitl. He's good at a couple things. He's the best German player of all time. He's up there in the league.
Competition?
Marcel Gotch. I don't know.
Marcel Gotch, what a bag. Yeah, that was wild. Okay.
Either way, I'm not a big Draisaitl guy. I don't think he's somewhere in the top 10 for me.
Okay.
But I don't think he's pushing top 5.
Okay.
That's
more respectable. My thing is when you say, because we have these conversations a lot off air, in the past couple years. And you say these things where you say these players suck. So to me, that means that they are not even remotely close to the top 100. When you
I
say
wouldn't pay
sucks.
him. I wouldn't pay him whatever contract he's making. You know,
Okay.
8-9 mil probably, but you're a secondary piece to Connor McDavid, and you will always be a secondary piece. I know there was that one season where McDavid was injured and he took over, won the scoring race, right?
Yeah.
But you're always going to be second to him. Yeah, you got to pay him to keep him around, but like I think that whatever $13 million he makes could be better spent on other pieces. A guy like, there are a lot of other guys that make less than $10 million a year that you can add in another great hockey player.
Yeah.
Have a better team. I also say Leon Draisaitl sucks because he ruined my fantasy team a couple years ago, because he'd go off one week and then he'd put up 0 points the next week, and my team was like very mediocre because of it. So I hate him because of that.
That's fair.
Lost me some money.
You know, when I think of Alan and the takes that you have, I never think that you're biased ever. I never sit there and be like, there must be something else that he has deep-rooted hatred for. Because there's another player. We'll save it for another episode, but there's another player that you and I both agree sucks, but
he's garbage.
Yeah, we'll save it for another episode when they're relevant. He kind of is.
Yeah, ignore it. I said his name earlier. It's Mark Stone. I hate him.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go in depth on another episode when he gets hurt in February and goes on the IR. But moving on next.
Game 1.
Yeah. Nashville. The Nashville Predators, another week of us hating on them. Mainly because I think it's just funny that they spent all this money in the offseason and everyone wanted to hype them up and call them a playoff team, which season isn't over. They could, come back. But
yeah, they could. They probably won't.
They could, but guess what? They're not. They're not back right now because they still suck.
They're losing right now.
Yep. They're dead last in the standings. And they also have the worst point percentage. So don't come at us for the games played BS. But yeah, I mean, how many points does Stamkos have since we've last talked?
He's actually dragged it back. I looked at it the other day because I was curious. I was trying to chirp Tim in our group chat. And I was going to say something ridiculous about Stamkos getting paid, $4 million a goal or whatever. Yeah. And he's dragged it back. He had like 8 points when I checked. So it's like it's coming together, but they're still not winning games. They beat the Avalanche a few days back, but the Avs have been mediocre starting out the season. They're just now kind of turning it on where they're putting up big points, which is what they need to do to win.
Yeah.
Other than that, like they're dead last in the standings. We're 15 games into the year, or almost a quarter of the way through the season. And they're still awful.
Yeah.
They are looking not very good. I can't really pinpoint what's been going wrong besides they're letting in too many goals, but it's not like a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
Just looking here, they have 50 goals against in 15 games played. Montreal is the team directly ahead of them. They have another game played, but their point percentage is higher. They have 67 goals against in 16 games. So it's not like they're like letting in an absurd amount of goals. Pittsburgh has 68. Philly has 58. They're just not getting the scoring. The Sharks have 60. I wasn't going to mention that one, but
I was just curious. I was honestly curious.
Yeah. I think it's down to a goal scoring thing. Yeah. Which is interesting because they just spent so much money in the off season
on like two legit goal scorers too. I mean, Jonathan Marchessault, I wouldn't say legit goal scorer, but he's 30 goal scorer.
I think he put up 40.
Did he? Okay.
I think he put up 41 season. And Conn Smythe winner.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really argue with that. He's playing well, too, in the overall stats department.
Okay.
Let's see here.
So I'm trying to break down, like, what could be the issue for this team. If it's just a bad luck stretch or chemistry.
I really don't know. I think they'll probably figure it out. Don't clip this and put it on the internet so Tim can see it.
Yeah.
But I think they are going to figure it out. They'll put it together. They're not a bad team overall.
Yeah.
It's just not. Right now they're awful.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of like, especially when you get a new locker room like this, and not to say that like teams don't add players all the time, but especially a player like Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault, who were pretty staple, players in their own respective locker rooms, now to come into this Nashville team and be, try to fit in where they're supposed to fit in.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier said than done. I think that's what happened to the Sharks, honestly. We'll get into that later. But, they had a rough start. And when it's a new team like this, all these new players and trying to find roles for these players, it's like, I just think it's tough to really like cement that and get a good thing going. But we'll see how honestly they turn out.
The other thing to think about with that too, it's like, this is basically a whole new core. Like there's still some core guys there from last season. Roman Josi, got Philip Forsberg, guys like that are still around. Ryan O'Reilly, but you're talking about adding Brady Shea, Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault. Those are big pieces and guys that are playing high up your lineup. That you're just adding basically overnight. They've going into the season, never played a game together before. Like there's gonna be some time to adjust to that. Looking at it now, okay, Jonathan Marchessault only has 9 points in 15 games, so he's not doing great. But it's just like it's gonna take time to figure out.
Yeah,
but like I did not think they were gonna be this bad. UC Saros has as many points as Luke Shen. I'm looking at it right now. He's got more points than Colton Sissons. He's got more points than Jeremy Lazan. He's got more points than Philip Tomasino.
So it seems like a depth thing. That's kind of.
There's no depth goal scoring there. They have Philip Forsberg. He's got 13 points in 15 games. Their next highest point scorer. They have two guys at 10. A bunch of guys at
Philip
9,
is leading.
8, 7.
Philip is leading their team with 13 points.
Yes. He has 8 goals, 5 assists. He's a -5. Roman Josi's a -11.
That'll do it.
Plus minus isn't a good stat, but
no, it is, but it
that has as many.
Yeah.
So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 guys on this roster with 2 points. That starts at the 11th highest point score, forwards and defensemen. And then your goalie is tied with the next best guy.
His goalie being tied is crazy.
That's like an ESPN stat, but like it's still really bad if you think about it. You got multiple guys.
There was one tonight for the Sharks. Bad. It was Jack Thompson. The graphic that they pulled up on NBC Sports was second rookie to ever score on the New Jersey Devils for the San Jose Sharks. I was like, you guys are just pulling stats out of your ass. Like, what is that?
Who would be the first?
I have no idea. It's probably
some random guy.
Yeah, like it's really not that relevant.
Mean a thing.
Yeah, but
that's funny.
And I think it was for the Sharks too. So it was just random little ESPN stats, but it's still fun. Some of those ESPN stats are just funny too, though.
Yeah.
To see like LeBron is the first player over 35 to score when it's 75 degrees out.
I just find it funny
in Kentucky while they're playing.
So Mark Jankowski has played 12 games for the Nashville Predators. UC Saros has played 12 games for the Nashville Predators. Mark Jankowski is a center, and he has the same amount of goals as UC Saros and the same amount of assists through 12 games. And that's someone, he's probably their third, probably a fourth line center.
Yeah.
But he's playing 12 games.
Yeah. No, he is.
Luke Shen's like he's a solid defenseman who's playing.
Yeah.
He's averaging 15 minutes a night, so he's probably on the third pairing.
Yeah.
But that's still 15 minutes a night, trying to score goals.
Yeah.
And he's got the same amount of points as UC Saros.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah, it's brutal.
Anyways, that's enough Nashville talk.
Yeah, enough Nashville shitting on Last thing, in light of the election last Tuesday, whatever you think politically, that's not what we're here to talk about. Jack Hughes received 1 vote in the state of New Jersey. Jack Hughes, you heard that right, got a write-in vote, which I'm sure I'm curious how many other hockey players got a write-in vote. This is the only one I saw on Instagram, but
even though Sid's a Canadian, I am sure that Sid has gotten votes out of Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure he has.
Pennsylvania,
Guys like
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Wayne Gretzky
Matvey
out
Michkov
LA.
probably got one too.
Oh, probably. There's
From
probably
Philly.
50 of them. People from Philly are stupid.
Yeah, no, they did. I'm sure that'd be so funny. Matvey Michkov, the Russian too. That would just be.
He took a brutal penalty to start OT tonight against the
He
Sharks.
did. Yeah, it was rookie on rookie too.
It was so funny.
It was
awful.
Yeah.
Either way, I'd vote for Jack Hughes. I think he's got a few years left before he can be the president of the United States, but he's a funny guy.
Funny guy.
Who knows what his politics are like, but who cares? Just get a hockey.
Yeah.
I'm about it.
That's all in my book. Honestly, when I look for a president, I say, can they skate?
Jack Hughes is going to make hockey great again.
Nah.
Can't put that on air, huh?
No, MHGA. No. That's not a good acronym. No, it's good.
Yeah, doesn't work.
Yeah. But Jack Hughes, man. Yeah, we got to wait. He's not 35 yet. So maybe when he's done with hockey, he can get into the political game. I think he'd handle the media really well. It'd be so funny.
That'd be hilarious.
He would just like shake his head and be like, what do you think of the State of the Union right now? He's just like, I don't know. I'm yeah.
I'm not even the president yet. I'm just a nominee.
Yeah. I don't really know how I got here, but yeah. But we're going to move on to a new segment we're going to try out. It's called Hot Takes. And this first one came up by ourselves, but for any of you watching or listening, if you guys have one that you want us to react to, whether it's yours or some other person you've heard, someone you watched on the internet, and you're like, what the hell is this guy smoking? Go to Good Old Hockey Podcast on the Instagram right down below, Alan, at Good Old Hockey Podcast. That's GOODOLHOCKEYPODCAST.
Did you have to spell that out?
Well, if people are listening and not watching, they can't see you.
Oh, that's fair.
See what's underneath you. So go follow us. And you're going to DM us a hot take. We'll put it on the story from here time to time, if I remember. And we want you to fill out some hot takes, and we're going to react to those hot takes, whether they're yours or a buddy of yours. If your friend says that Leon Draisaitl sucks, we can.
I'll agree with him. 100%.
Alan might agree with most of the hot takes, but we want to hear him, so we're going to start it out. But saw this one today because of the recent game that just happened on Monday night, that the Pittsburgh Penguins lost to the Dallas Stars 7-1 tonight. It was 6-0 after the first. And, the Pittsburgh Penguins have been struggling all season and last season as well. Didn't make the playoffs. They got 16 points, or Sid has 16 points in 15 games, so he's under a point per game right now. No, other way around. Sorry. 15 points, 16 games. My bad. Penguins are 6-9-2, and you know what? This hot take, get Sid out of Pittsburgh. Get him out right now.
Get him out of there.
Free him. Free him. He needs to be free. I think he's done his time there. Won 3 Stanley Cups with them.
Mm-hmm.
He's had his fun, but I think he's probably 36, 37 now.
He's 37. I want to say he's getting up there.
Yeah,
he ain't getting any younger.
Saw this, and honestly, I kind of agree with it. I think it's time that the Penguins move on from him. As weird as it would be to watch Sid in any other jersey, I said the same thing about Patrick Kane, and it's pretty normal now. But I feel like Sid is just
It's one of those things, that team, they have made the playoffs. So last year was their first time missing it, and I want to say 16 seasons. Sidney Crosby had not missed the playoffs until last year. It's one of those things where it's like, you guys have had so much franchise success. He's been around. He's done it all right. You're going to let him go out on such a low note. I'm sure Sid doesn't want to get out of Pittsburgh.
No.
But guess what? He needs to, all right? I'm going to have a conversation with him. We'll call him up on the phone.
This is like an
listen,
intervention.
buddy.
where
an
you know
intervention.
your buddy's with this toxic girl that you need to break them up. That's what we're doing right now. We're here to sit down and be like, hey, bud, this girl's not good enough for you. Not for you,
It's
King.
crazy.
Yeah.
You have one of the greatest players in NHL history. You're going to let him wean away the rest of his career on a team just because they got drafted or you got drafted by him, right? Now, I know the city's probably done a lot for him, made him a person, like an adult, whatever, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, hockey's a business. If he hadn't panned out, they would have gotten rid of him very quickly.
True.
You got to think about it. Like, you don't owe the team anything. You won them 3 Stanley Cups. You scored many, many points, over 1,600 points now. You've won them games for the last 17 years.
Yeah.
Like, you don't owe them anything. Yeah, you're probably settled down there, but listen, buddy, you can leave for a couple years, come back, join management.
Does he have like a wife and kids at all? I feel like I never see.
So he's like super private about his family life.
Okay.
I think I remember when he scored 1,500 points? I forget, or it might have been 500 goals. It was during COVID. I remember watching the ceremony for it, and they addressed her as his partner. I don't believe he has kids.
Okay.
But he's been with some lady for a minute. But at the same time, it's like, you don't owe the team anything. You've given them everything. They're not going anywhere specifically because of you, right?
Yeah.
You gave them the franchise. You kept it there.
Yeah.
Like, go win out your last couple seasons. Go to a better team, and then you can go back once you retire from professional playing. Right, you could go be a coach, go be a GM, go be something like that. Join Mary Lemieux in the office, right? You don't have to be there your entire career, and you've seen that more and more nowadays with guys moving on. Obviously, Stamkos wanted to stay, but that's like the biggest example recently. That guy played his entire career up until this season with Tampa, won everything, you did everything. Like, you don't have to stay. Go back a couple years, Patrick Kane, he did everything with that team. He doesn't owe him anything, right? They're going to be bad. You're going to spend the last couple of years of your career, first of all, not maximizing.
Yeah. I also think, though, like for him, especially with that Erik Karlsson trade, I think they were trying to get as much for him as they could, some support. And, I could have called it. I did call it, I think. But
he'll go off in a couple years, win another Norris, and then continue to be mediocre for the rest of his career.
Yeah. Like, getting a player like that, I think, helped him stay and, like, honestly gave him some life, because it is Erik Karlsson at the end of the day. But it is a retirement home over there right now, and he needs to go join some teams. So we're going to talk about some of those teams. But he, I think, could provide some good veteran experience. It's Sidney fucking Crosby. Anywhere he could play, really, and help that team out tremendously. But he's still on that 8.7 contract, and he re-signed with the Penguins with that 8.7 contract, even with who he is right now. And with the cap going up, which I think is just a lucky thing. And I mean, it's kind of a different tangent, but those team-friendly deals only work when the rest of the team does it. And that, like, he can go utilize this 8.7 contract. He can go utilize this anywhere else in the league. And I'm sure there's some teams that could use him. One of them being the Winnipeg Jets. They have $11.9 million in cap space. Obviously, hot start right now. We'll see if it holds up. Where do you think he'd fit in? Who do you think he'd fit in with well? Like some pairings?
There's a bunch of, I mean, you could put him with anybody in the league. We've seen it over the years. Put him with anybody, and he's going to put up points, and he's going to make them put up points. I'm pretty sure he made Brian Russ like a 25 goal scorer like 7 or 8 years back.
Yeah.
That guy's nobody. Pascal Dupuis back in the day. Obviously, this is a much younger Sid. Kyle Connor would come to mind. That guy can shoot the puck.
Yeah.
he'd probably, the one thing about the Jets is he'd probably have to move off. Somebody would have to move off to the wing. You probably want Sid in the middle of the ice because he's smart and he's very, very good at faceoffs. He's good defensively.
And he's Sidney Crosby.
And he's Sidney fucking Crosby.
Yeah.
But like you do have a little bit of a backlog of centers there. You're not going to put Sid on the third line. I don't think you're going to put, I think Ehlers is center too. You're not putting him on the third line. But it's going to help bolster goal scoring in the playoffs. You know, seems like they can't figure out how to keep the puck out of the net in the playoffs. It's been that way for the last while. I mean, look at last season, Connor Hellebuck stood on his head all regular season, then gassed out in the playoffs, letting 5 goals every game. Yeah. Or more. You might as well score as many goals as you can, right?
Yeah.
Why not spend that money getting some more forwards, some more powerhouse players, guys that are going to put up points, guys that are going to put up points in the playoffs? Like, yeah, I think that'd be a cool fit. That'd be cool to see Crosby go back to Canada. And I don't think any other teams really make sense up north.
No, Maple Leafs would be interesting, but it's not going to work. Canadians would be cool, but I don't. That'd be kind of a cool team, but they're not good enough for him right now.
They're currently second worst team in the league.
Yeah,
They did just go on a 6-game losing streak. So once they're back up to, I don't think they're a 6-game losing in a row team. They won tonight.
No, I think they'd be fine, but I still don't think they're good enough for him. But who I do want him to play with, someone we talked about earlier, the Colorado Avalanche. They have around $5 million of cap space. Obviously, some pieces would have to be moved, but just like in any trade, you're not gonna get Sid for free. You're gonna have to give up draft picks. We didn't look at this one. The next team that we have, we looked pretty in depth and have a mock trade for him. Might be a little wild, but it'd be funny. But the Avalanche, like Nathan McKinnon and Sid, are like best friends, and to watch them play together, which I guess they wouldn't really play together because they're both centers, play power play together. But I think Avalanche would be so cool to watch him play with McKinnon. Also, I mean, the Avalanche are the Avalanche and could benefit from him. But will it happen? Probably not.
Listen, hear me out. Like we were talking about earlier, big Val Nichushkin's coming back, right? But can you really trust that guy to play? He's clearly got some issues, and hopefully he worked them out. But this is 2 seasons in a row where he's been held out of the playoffs at the most crucial time of year with on good Avalanche teams, right? But that's a huge piece that you're missing when he's out of the lineup. And him being a younger guy, I don't know if they're going to want to get rid of him if they decide that they think he can stay in the lineup.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll get rid of him. But if they decide that, hey, this guy is trouble, we need him out of the locker room, he's getting everybody on the snow. Ship in Sidney Crosby, ship out Nichushkin. They need a younger team over there in Pittsburgh, some physicality, some reason to watch, Pittsburgh Penguins hockey.
Yeah.
Might be a good idea. Bulldozer in front of the net.
Yeah. No, that is true. I think, the Avalanche would just be kind of a wagon. They have Sid too. I mean, they already are. They're just, like we said earlier, I think they just had a rough start, but
they also don't have a goalie.
Yeah, that is true.
They're playing, I forget the guy's first name, Anunin. He's on my fantasy team right now because Georgiev is awful.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been much better.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean, that's hello, I just had a big stutter. The shitty part about like any of these trades is like nothing's guaranteed. Like Stanley Cup's so tough to win, and like clearly we can see that with all these trades that are happening, and hockey's tough. To make the playoffs, to win the Stanley Cup, you got to stay healthy, completely healthy, and be able to battle and have a hot goaltender, which the Sharks have 2 right now, I will say. But we'll get into that later. If you guys didn't watch last week, me and Alan are going to go on a Sharks rant at the end of each episode. Just to save you guys, if you guys don't want to hear it, you can click off. It'll be at the end. I'll let you know before we do it. But I got a little excited there. Next team, though, the Washington Capitals trade for Sidney Crosby. Alan, give us a scenario.
Okay, so listen, hear me out, right? This is going to take some hearing out. The Washington Capitals are currently a good team, right? This is weird because the Washington Capitals, they made the playoffs last year. I think objectively they were terrible. Yeah. And they got bounced in the first round by the New York Rangers, as they should have, right?
Yep.
But they're hot right now, right? Now picture this. You have Dylan Strome, who we just were talking about a little bit earlier in the episode. He's playing really well, right? He has 23 points in, what were we talking about, 15, 16 games, something like that.
Yep.
Which is by far, it's an outlier in his resume so far. He's been playing well above what he's done previously. If he drops off, they have no other player that's even feasibly close to a first line center role, right?
Yeah.
Nobody else to play with Alex Ovechkin. What more perfect circle of a story? That didn't make any sense. How much better of a story could you possibly create? Ovi to the Capitals, PLD going back, couple draft picks also going back. Huh?
You just messed that up. You just said Ovi going
I said
to
Ovi to the Capitals. Yeah,
Say that again. Say that again.
All right. We'll cut this out here. Yeah. Sid to the Capitals, PLD going back, couple draft picks going back as well. Get Sidney Crosby playing with Alex Ovechkin. That's my take.
He helps. Sidney Crosby is the one to help Ovechkin break Gretzky's record.
Imagine.
The greatest rivalry in the most recent years of hockey. Sid and Ovi now team up, and that would be crazy.
Sid's also pretty close to 600
goals.
Is that like five some? Yeah, he's close to 600 goals. Is that like 500 something? Let me look it up here real quick.
Could we see 830 whatever or no 9?
It's 893
and 600 goals. It would be a beautiful ending to a crazy rivalry. To show the world to love thy neighbor.
Okay. So you remember how I said
in this world.
Remember how I said, imagine Ovi assisting on a Crosby 600th goal along those lines. That trade would have to happen pretty quickly because he's at 598 right now. Oh. But it's still possible.
It could happen tomorrow. And if this trade happens tomorrow and then this episode drops on Wednesday, we're screwed because we're going to look like a bunch of losers or phonies that we're pretending to call this, but we are. People.
I think people are already going to make fun of me for saying that PLD is going to be a part of a Crosby trade, but to make that work cap wise, the Penguins got to take some kind of hit, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to give up Sidney Crosby and get, at this point in his career, you're not going to get an amazing return. Yeah. You saw what the Sharks got for Erik Karlsson, and good thing we have a great GM, and
that also took 2 years to put together.
Exactly. And didn't turn out until we realized.
Yeah.
So could be a thing, could not be a thing, probably won't be a thing. But, I still think Sid needs to get out of Pittsburgh. I think that's still the main point here. And I don't think there's really any team that couldn't benefit from him. But that'd be interesting. If Sid was wearing another jersey at the end of the season, I would be flabbergasted. But
I'd be pumped.
I would be too. That'd be kind of sick. But anyways,
I think it'd be pretty cool seeing 87 pass to 8 for a one-timer, right?
Yeah.
On like the Philadelphia Flyers or someone like that.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, on the Flyers. That'd be perfect.
I'm all for that. I'm not just saying that because they just beat the Sharks.
Yeah, me either. So that's going to get us into the Sharks rant. If you're listening to this point, don't want to hear us talk delusion about the Sharks, you can click off. Thanks for listening. Watch us, follow us on Instagram, but you're a loser. And I know you want to hear us talk about the Sharks because we're going to do it right now. The last week, the Sharks have been honestly a fun team to watch. The beginning of the season, obviously we had some hiccups. Macklin Celebrini is clearly a big help to this offense. maybe not a huge help, but he's at least a factor.
I was watching the game today. This is the game against the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, he did not put up a point, but half of the Sharks' offense was driven through him and Mikael Granlund specifically. Like they're getting opportunities specifically off of Macklin Celebrini being Macklin Celebrini.
Exactly.
And I think that's awesome.
Yeah. It's not one of those things where he's getting stats and he's still young. Kid's 18 years old and doing what he's doing. Scored 2 goals the other night on Saturday, something like that. No, Friday. I don't know. Yeah. But scored 2 goals that night and had an amazing night. Tonight, the game I watched last night and tonight. Last night's game was kind of funny, honestly. Like, I truly think that, against the Devils, Timo Meier was the one that scored, which is hilarious. And then Mackenzie Blackwood also stood on his head, former New Jersey Devil. That guy had a 44 save shutout. He was a brick wall, and the Devils just couldn't get any offense. And honestly, neither could the Sharks, really. I don't think we had a great offensive game, but the Sharks, I will say, looked a lot better defensively on Sunday.
Yeah. That game to me seemed like kind of a big middle finger to the Devils.
Yep.
It was like they gave up on him. Mackenzie Blackwood is still a very young goalie, right? He's 26. Mm-hmm. In the goalie scheme of things, that's still really young, right? And they gave up on him, I think, a little bit early. I've been a fan of Mackenzie Blackwood for years now. Yeah. Ever since I think he had a 9-18 in his rookie season or something crazy like that. It seemed like a big middle finger, like I'm better than Jacob Markstrom.
Yeah.
You suck. Yeah. That's how I interpreted it. I'm imagining.
I don't think Jacob Markstrom played that night.
Yeah, Jake Allen played that night, I think. But
yeah.
He
is better than Jake Allen.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, actually, no, he did.
It's still a big finger.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly am watching Macklin Celebrini, and I'm just in awe. Like, I will say at the beginning of the season, it's not that I didn't have high hopes for Macklin Celebrini, because I did. But, obviously coming after he's the number 1 overall pick after Connor Bedard, that is a lot of hype to follow up on. Now, the year before that, for Connor Bedard, was Slavkovsky. Mm-hmm. And I will give him his flowers. He's performed well this year, and kind of found himself last year later in the season. But I was a little underwhelmed by Macklin Celebrini at first. I thought Will Smith was going to be the star coming out this season. But I think it's the complete opposite. I think Will Smith's played fine. He's 19 years old. Both these guys are literally kids. Should be in their freshman or sophomore year of college.
They can't even buy beer yet.
Nope.
In California.
They have to wait. They have to wait States. Like 2 years. Yeah, in the United States. They can't even purchase Zins, which is crazy too.
That's crazy. I don't know how to deal with that.
I don't know. Well,
I'm probably not addicted to nicotine.
They're probably not, because their bodies are temples compared to our bodies. But But anyways, what I was saying is he's got this like Nathan McKinnon-esque vibe. Like, I don't, just the way he skates, he does that fast, like crossovers through the middle of the ice.
Yeah.
And he's a great playmaker, and he has got a hell of a shot as well, which I did not realize how much of a shot he had on him.
Mm-hmm. I think we're going to start seeing here as he gets more comfortable. And again, this might be just diluted. I'm a Sharks fan, so I'm going to say great things about our, first overall draft pick.
Always.
He is an 18-year-old, and he's playing 19 minutes a night. His time on ice average is 19 minutes and 7 seconds.
Damn.
He played 22 minutes and 50 seconds. Obviously, that's skewed by overtime, and he was on the power play for the full 2 minutes in overtime tonight. That's a lot of responsibility for an 18-year-old on an NHL team.
It is.
Basically, Ryan Warsofsky basically gave him the reins, said, here you go have fun. And that's a lot of kind of pressure for an 18-year-old. They're giving him I mean, first line minutes. He's playing damn near what McDavid was playing before he got injured. Yep. It's been very cool to see because he looks like he's settled. He looks like he's like comfortable now. Whereas even a couple of games where he has scored, you could still tell he wasn't like the most comfortable player, but like he's taking the puck up the ice, trying to split the D. And it's like, you're 18 years old and you have the confidence to do that. That's crazy. Yeah. That looked like young Nathan McKinnon. I remember he had a goal that was against the Minnesota Wild it was like the 2014 playoffs.
Yeah.
He ended up, I think it was a game winner in overtime, and skates the puck up the ice through two defensemen, splits the defenseman, and then absolutely rips one home. And it does kind of remind me of that. Like, there were probably 4 or 5 plays tonight where he just was like, all right, I'm doing this myself.
Yep. And then, he does that a lot, especially on the power play too. I noticed he does that looping shit that McDavid and McKinnon both do, where they kind of just trail back and skate with the puck up the ice. And he's a great playmaker and stays on the puck. I thought Will Smith actually played great tonight too. He had a lot of forechecking. There's a couple of plays on the forecheck where I was like, okay, I like that. I think Will Smith also needs to play with some better players, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think obviously Macklin Celebrini's on line 1.
They had him with Alex Wenberg and I think Barclay Goodrow.
Yeah, they did.
Which I love Barclay Goodrow as a Sharks fan, even though he didn't want to come back to San Jose.
Yeah,
I have great memories.
Yeah.
Specifically the 2019 playoff run and one specific goal I remember, but love that guy, but he's not the guy you put, 4th overall pick from 2 years ago on a line with when you're trying to get him to gain confidence. Like, that's just not a guy who's going to win the puck to a young guy and get him the space and get open for him to actually make plays like he's capable of.
Yeah.
You put him on a line with, Tyler Toffoli, someone like that, Mikael Granlund, switch him in and out with Macklin Celebrini, do whatever you got to do, put him with Macklin.
Yeah.
And I think he'll
just
start looking
a little more skill. Not that Barclay Goodrow, he's more of like a grittier guy. I want some people that can shoot the puck because Will Smith will find you, but it's tough because there was a couple passes tonight where there's just no one in position. But I think it's interesting. Warsofsky said that Celebrini and Will Smith both have a plan for their development. Will Smith sits out, I would say, every other game. If not every 2 games, he'll sit a game out more recently. But we'll see. Macklin has not sat a game out as a healthy scratch. It's only been injuries. So we'll see these next couple of games.
To be fair, he's been healthy for 5 games.
Exactly. But it's not been a lot, but Will Smith
played the last 4 games.
Yeah. And he's had he had points his first night back and then 2 goals. So it's hard to like really sit him. But they said, what was it? I think Will Smith, when he sits out, he is told to sit and watch one player on the ice the entire game. Last night against the Devils, he watched Jack Hughes. So I think it's interesting, just this development plan they have for these guys. Barracuda's lighting it up, which is good to see. Yep. We'll see if any of those players kind of make the jump in the next couple months.
I don't think Askarov has played a game since we had that conversation last week, but he's still gross.
He is gross. I'd like to see him play soon. Do you have a skater that you'd like to see jump up soon?
There isn't anyone in particular on the Barracuda I'm like super, super pumped for right now.
Yeah.
I was really pumped for Daniil Gushin a couple years ago. He's in the same situation where I don't think they're playing him in the right situations.
Yeah.
But either way, it's like there are a ton of guys down there that I'd be pretty pumped to see. Let's check out their roster real quick.
Yeah, I'm interested
I did not do enough research on the Barracuda before this episode.
It's okay. I don't really. The first one that kind of comes to my head, maybe Philip. No, Colin Graff would be interesting.
Colin Graff, I forgot about him.
I just don't think he's quite ready yet.
He has 14 points in 11 games on Barracuda. Luca Cagnoni has 11 points in 11 games as a defenseman.
Yeah.
Philip Bystedt has played 9 games. He has 7 points. Just looking down the roster here, there's like Kasper Haltunen has 6 games played, 4 points. That's a guy I'm actually pretty excited for.
Yes, me too.
Sam
Dickinson's also lighting up the league down in the CHL. Where's he at? OHL?
He's in the O. He's playing for the London Knights. He had that nasty goal a couple nights ago. You sent me a video of. I was like, what on earth? That's gross.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll start wrapping up soon, but
yeah,
I think that the Sharks this season, like we've talked about this, all we want to see is development from these players. Celebrini looks like he's getting more comfortable. Smith looks like he's getting more comfortable. And any other rookie that joins. Jack Thompson, I like him. Henry Thrun, I really like him as well.
Yep.
He's a smart hockey player from what I've seen. He's got that Harvard sense in him. He's making some bank passes where I was like, I remember when I was a kid and playing hockey and people were like, you have to be smart to play hockey. And I always kind of wrote it off. But there's some truth to that with just the angles. And obviously like hockey sense is one thing, but some of his passes, I'm like, okay.
The Sedins made a living off that.
Yeah.
Those crazy passes all the way up ice. And obviously there was that one, I think they were playing the Bruins. No, they were playing the Red Wings, I think. Shot it all the way down off the corner. And Henrik Sedin shot it all the way down off the corner. Daniel snuck in around defense.
Like that Pasta goal last year.
Gross stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like the Pasta goal in the playoffs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was beautiful.
Henry Thrun, real quick. Just to touch on him a little bit more, he's got 5 points this season, 5 assists, 0 goals, but 4 of his 5 assists are in the last 3 games. And given Philadelphia isn't that good, he put up an assist against them. He had 2 assists against Minnesota, who is still a very good team, even though I do think they're going to fall off at some point. They're still 10-2-3 as of the recording of this episode. And he had an assist against New Jersey and was a +1, obviously no goals against, and that's against one of the best teams in the NHL. I believe they're currently like 5th in the overall standing. So that guy I think is going to be legit.
Yeah. I'm
pretty excited for him. Maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I liked what I saw out of him last season. Obviously he was a rookie playing on the worst team in the NHL. So you're not going to expect that much out of him, but he looked all right. He looked comfortable sometimes, didn't look as comfortable other times, but that's what you expect.
Also, Timothy Liljegren, however you say his name.
Liljegren, I believe.
He's nasty. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
He's a great offensive defenseman for us. We've kind of talked about that. We kind of need that. Someone to run anything through. On the point, and he's doing really well playing on the power play too with them.
You're saying you don't want Mario Ferraro on the power play?
Not necessarily. I love Mario, but I don't. It's one of those things where it's like we could use just a little bit more.
There was a couple years ago, me and my roommate used to joke about they had the Sharks had Mario Ferraro and Radim Šimek, and at the time, Mario Ferraro looks a lot more comfortable this year. I think it's because there's some actual hockey players that are also playing with him, rather than a bunch of janitors and plumbers and, retired UFC fighters, stuff like that, right? Where they don't have anybody who actually has any talent. They actually have some talent this season.
Yeah.
Him and Radim Šimek was the most like frantic defensive pairing I've ever seen. They were like, neither of them looked like they ever wanted the puck. They immediately pass away from each other. And it's like, no, you take it. No,
I don't want it. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. That's how I play sometimes when I'm scared.
Nah, you're better than that.
No, I know. But I still play like that. I'll be like, Gavin, take the puck. And I'm like, why did I do that? But it happens. Oh my God. Last game. Oh, I felt so bad on this because I think you got scored on, but I was in the corner and these 2 dudes like start pinching on, skating up the red line. I could have dumped it down, but I decided to be a fancy pants and pass it behind my back, no look to Gavin, who I thought was closer to me than I was. Just a straight juicy puck right in the middle of the blue line, and they took it, breakaway, scored. And I came up to you, I'm like, dude, I was like, that was so bad.
That was like 5 seconds left. No, that was the week before that.
Yeah,
I forget when that was.
We were up a lot, but I was getting cocky, and I was like, okay, we need to lock in here because we need to be.
It's fine. I forgive you.
Yeah, thank you. But thank you guys, everyone listening. If you made it to this point, appreciate you. Go to our website right now. You go buy us a hoodie, or not a hoodie, but crew neck sweater right now since it's cold out. Use code GOHP15. You get 15% off, all caps, GOHP, Good Old Hockey Podcast. We also got some cool hockey shirts on there. We got a Will Smith Macklin Celebrini shirt.
I should have worn that shirt. I don't know why I didn't.
Next episode we will. We'll plug it a little bit more. But yeah, that's out on the website. If you're at this point, it's probably because you're a Sharks fan. So go buy that shirt right now. Use code GOHP15, 20 or 15% off your order. And other than that, we've got some good hockey coming up. Season is getting rolling along now. Alan, you feel like you're a lot more comfortable sitting in the seat. He's got a new setup too, not in his living room anymore. Slowly but surely it'll come together. No, we're not going to see it. We won't see it. But it's coming together.
A lawn chair right now.
I wasn't going to mention that, but you did.
Yeah, whatever.
But Alan, I will see you tomorrow at our game. Yep. And everyone listening, we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.